explain you what is the objective of the scanning, right? Um of course, the scanning is an active information gathering technique which is used by the target to identify the information about the victim. So what is the objective of the scanning, right? See, uh, maybe if you recollect the previous modules, so there we are gathering the information by looking at the publicly available resources, but we don't know after gathering that information whether it is true or false, because always we need to consider the information which we have gathered using the ourselves, I mean using the active information gathering technique, because in when you're doing the penetration testing assessment as well, they give you the list of IP addresses to you to perform the penetration testing. So the very first step what we do when we receive the list of IP addresses and the domain names is we perform the scanning, right? So what is the objective of scanning? So first what we do is we check whether the host is alive or not. Okay, let's say they have given an IP address to you, maybe which is connected somewhere in the different location. So the very first thing what we verify is whether we have the whether we are reachable or not. Okay, so for that we perform the host discovery scan. So what is mean by host discovery scan is, so in the host discovery scan, we will try to identify whether the system is alive or not. Okay, whether it is reachable or not. If it is alive, of course, which means up. If it is not alive, okay, which means down. So if it is down, if it is not reachable, we need to check, okay, why it is not reachable. Is there any firewall or something which is blocking, or do we need a VPN connectivity to reach that particular IP address? So they'll tell you how we can actually able to connect that server as well, because you will be having a point of contact when you're doing the penetration testing. So with the help of them, you can easily get to know, or else you can directly ask them, okay, is it directly reachable to the internet, or do we need any kind of a VPN connectivity to reach those devices? So they'll help you. Okay, so depending on the IP it is, okay, whether it is if it is public, of course it can be directly accessible. If it is a private, okay, we have to be in the same network. So here in this today's session, okay, I'm gonna take an example of my private network, okay, which is the class 3 network, and I'm gonna help you to understand the different types of the scans, right? So yeah, this is about the host discovery scan. Then once we're done the host discovery scan, let's say you have identified a couple of systems are up. Maybe here I have taken the example as 10 systems are up. Okay. The next thing what I'll do is I'll perform the port scan. I'll perform the port scan. Okay, so every system has 0 to 65,535 ports. It could be TCP port or it could be UDP port. So I perform the TCP UDP scans on each port for each port on all the alive systems to identify whether how many ports are open, closed, filtered, and unfiltered. So I'll also tell you the difference between the all the results. I mean, what is mean by open, close, filtered, and unfiltered, with the practical examples with the help of the Nmap tool. So to perform this, of course, we need our own internal Windows virtual systems, a virtual system, by disabling the firewall, right? Because if you enable the firewall and if you go and knock any port, okay, it always says the port is filtered. Okay, because the firewalls or antiviruses can, detect us, saying that, we are performing the scanning on them, and they don't really allow us to check whether the port is open or closed. So that's the reason whenever there is some kind of a security is enabled when you're doing the port scanning, it shows all the ports are filtered, and we are not going to get the port status is open or closed. So to understand this, of course, we need our own systems. Okay, we need our own system where we'll be having an access to enable and disable the firewall to understand the difference between the each result. And we have the different types of scanning techniques. So of course, we are going to discuss about most commonly used different types of scans in our regular life. Okay, which includes the SYN scan, TCP scan, acknowledgement scan, and UDP scan. There are other different types of scans also there, but of course, we are not going to use them in our regular life. Okay. And once you're done with the port scan, okay, once you identify how many ports are open, then we will also perform the version detection. Okay. So it'll tell you what port is open and what services are running. Then later we will also use the different switches, like here we have the hyphen small s and capital V. So this particular switch in the Nmap will help us to identify what version of the service is running. Okay, so version details are very, very important for us to identify the vulnerabilities, right? If you come to know that there is a specific version is running, so we'll go and check it in the vulnerability database whether this particular version is having any kind of a vulnerability. Then similarly, we'll also identify the operating system, the architecture of the operating system, and if possible, the kernel version. Then also, we perform the enumeration on each and every port to grab more and more information about the open ports to perform the further attacks. Okay, so once you have all these details in your hand, as an attacker, okay, we perform the vulnerability search. Okay, vulnerability research, which means, let's say I got a couple of ports open and I got to know that there are a couple of different types of versions are running. To check whether those versions are vulnerable or not, okay, we do a vulnerability research. Okay, by looking or by visiting the various types of vulnerability databases. Okay, we have NVD, CV details, Rapid7, etc., etc. So these are some of the publicly available vulnerability databases. Here you can just visit and give the product name, product version. It'll tell you if there is any vulnerabilities are exist. Or else, this is a manual technique of going and finding the vulnerabilities in the databases. Or else you can also use certain tools like Qualys, Nessus, Rapid7. Okay, so these are some of the paid corporate tools. Most of the organizations are using to, run the vulnerability management program in their organization. Which is basically an automated process. Okay, here we are doing everything ourselves manually, right? But if you give those same IP addresses in the vulnerability assessment tools, so those tools itself will identify for the common known vulnerabilities in the system, and it will automatically assigns the severity to them. Okay, what severity of the vulnerability it is. Okay, then later it will also give you the remediation steps for us to patch those vulnerabilities, right? So this is about the vulnerability assessment part. Of course, we are also gonna do this vulnerability assessment scans after the scanning part. And this is also part of a scanning. Okay, so here we have the Nessus, Rapid7, and Qualys. So of course, let's use some of the tool. Nessus or Qualys. I'll tell you how to install it and how to use it. Okay, and we have the couple of open source tools as well. So we'll also go and use some of the open source tools. Okay, like OpenVAS, Nikto, uh, to identify the vulnerabilities in the website or servers. So once you have a vulnerability, okay, I mean, you will be having all the list of vulnerabilities, right? So once you have a vulnerability, we will also check for the exploit research. Okay, we will check if the exploit is available or not. If the exploit is available in the internet, okay, we use that exploit to gain the access over the system. Then, of course, there are different techniques that I'm gonna, teach you to, take the access, you know, or to compromise the system. That is, by creating a malware or, with the help of the bind and reverse connections, and also by performing the password cracking. So, these are all the different techniques we use it to enter into the system. Then later we also perform the post exploitation to gain the more access, more privileges on the system. Then later we clear the tracks. Okay, so this is what we are going to discuss in next couple of days. So part of that, so let's get started today with the scanning, right? So to perform the scanning or to learn the scanning, so what I'm doing is I'm going to start a couple of virtual systems in my network. Okay, already my Linux operating system is up and running. Similarly, let me also start a Windows 7, and let me also start an Ubuntu, and let me also start a Metasploitable 2, okay, which is intentionally created vulnerable system. You can go and download it from the vulnerhub.com. So yeah, so I'm starting, of course, like almost 3 different operating systems over here, along with the Linux operating system, right? So the very first thing that I'm going to teach you is host discovery scans, right? How to identify the alive systems in the network. So let's go to the Kali. Right. So I have already the root access. Let me check the internet connectivity. Okay, perfect. It's working. Yeah. So when it comes to host discovery scans, okay, we have 2 different techniques. One is ping, and the next one is ping sweep. Okay, you can see we have 2 different techniques. One is ping scan, and one is the ping sweep scan. So what is the difference between the ping and ping sweep? Is, of course, ping is a small utility which existed in the Windows and Linux operating system. So with the help of the ping, of course, you can also send a request to any server, right? So let's say if I wanted to see if the Google is alive or not, what I'll do, I'll just go and type, ping google.com and -c, okay, count. Okay, just send 2 ping requests to Google. You can see now what happened. It sent a ping request to Google server, which is of course 56 and 84 bytes of the data, and we got the response from the Google. Okay, we got the response from the Google for our ping request. You can see we sent 2 ping requests and we got the response from the Google server. Okay, 2 times. So here also you can see the status: 2 packets transmitted and also 2 packets received, and here is the 0 packet loss, and this is the time, okay, which is taken. So what happened is when you send a ping request, okay, it is using the ICMP packet. Okay, ICMP is the protocol, okay, which is like Internet Control Messaging Protocol, which is used by the which is majorly used for the uh, network troubleshooting. Okay, to check whether the traffic is reaching or not. Okay, whether where it is dropping and etc. Okay, so most of the time the ICMP protocol is used by the network administrators to troubleshoot the network. So here we are using the ICMP. I mean, of course, when you use the ping, it is using the ICMP protocol, and it is sending the ICMP request. And if the server is alive and it is responding to us, okay, with the ICMP echo response, so here it is giving us the response, which means we are sending an ICMP request, and if we are receiving the ICMP response, we are considering that the target is alive, right? Okay, that's fine. But let's say I wanted to, uh, I mean, here it is only Google, that's fine. Let's say my manager has given me to perform the, host discovery scan on an entire subnet, maybe, the class 3 subnet, which has 254 IP addresses. So how do I able to perform this scan now? Do we have any option to define a subnet? We have an option to define all the IP addresses to the ping? No. Okay, we don't have such option. So that's where the ping sweep techniques, okay, technique comes into the picture. Okay, ping, of course, it uses only one system. Okay, like at a time it can able to identify the status of one system, but ping sweep is something, okay, you can use it to identify the multiple uh, you know systems at a time. I mean, let's say uh, if you have the entire subnet, okay, so you can define the entire subnet over here to the ping sweep tool. So it will go and knock each and every IP addresses, and whenever there is any response from any system, it will list it up. It will give us in the response. Okay, so there are different types of ping sweep tools are available. The very famous one is the Nmap, and similarly we have fping, Fing, net discovery also. So every tool uses a different techniques to identify the status of the ports. So we will use every tool and we'll conclude which is the better one for us. Okay. So first, let me use fping. So here we have the fping. Yeah, ping. So we can give the entire range. Okay. So first, let me check what is my IP address by using the ifconfig. So this is my IP address, and of course I'm connected to a class C network where I have 0 to 256. I mean, that is the entire range. So if I remove the broadcast IP, okay, and if I remove the netmask IP, I'll be having 1 to 254, right? So out of 254, I need to identify how many systems are alive. So what I'll do is I'll just write fping -a alive. Then let me give the entire range of the class C, 168.5.1/24. So you can write the class C range by defining the /24, or else you can also write like this: 192.168 5.254. Of course, you can write the range. Okay. So what is mean by this -a? So it will give you all the alive systems. Okay, or else you can write --alive. Okay, enter. Oh, I think we need to give the hyphen, or let me just give /24. No, it is also not identifying it. Let me give hyphen over here. No. So 192.168.5.1, then 192.168.5.254, but it's giving only one IP address. Let me just go to the man fping. So here we have -a or -alive. This is fine. But how to define the IP addresses? The range of IP addresses. This is the count. Okay. So it's basically going to accept like this. But okay, it is also going to accept the IP addresses like this. Okay, but in our case it is not. Let me see if I can able to use G, whether it's going to work. Okay, it's giving, oh my god, whole bunch of results for us. Okay, done. If you see what happened is, it performed the scan and it's given us all the unreachable systems for us and also all the reachable systems, but the results are very huge. Okay, so it says 5.70 is alive, and if I come down, so here it says 237, 245, 254 is also alive in my network, and except this, I think there is no IP addresses. Yeah. So what happened is, even this particular tool, okay, which is fping, is sending the ICMP echo request to every host in a sequence. You can see it's sending almost 4 packets, okay, to every system, and if any system is responding back to the ICMP echo response, so it's considering as a system is alive. But I'll tell you, most of the time, okay, when you perform the scans on the internal network, the ICMP can be blocked. Understand, the ICMP can be blocked in the firewall. So in such a cases, even if you perform the ping or fping any tool, it's not gonna give you, the status as the system is alive. So you're gonna miss those systems. So the best way to perform the scans, okay, to not to miss any system in the internal network is using the ARP scanning technique. Like the net discovery tool will use that. Okay, if you use the net discovery and hyphen, of course, yeah, if you just give net discovery, automatically it's going to identify all the alive systems for us in the network, and it's not going to miss anything because you cannot block the ARP in the internal network, right? If you block the ARP, what will happen? The systems will not communicate with the, the systems will not communicate with the internally. So of course, the best technique to identify how many systems are alive in a network is using the net discovery tool. Okay, it sends the ARP request to every system, and of course, all the systems will respond back to the ARP response. So it'll treat that system as an alive over here. You can see we have the router and the router MAC address and the other systems which have started like Windows, Ubuntu, Metasploitable, and my local host. Okay, if there is any other systems are also connected to my network, it is listed here all the systems. So currently I have totally 6 systems. So here is the 5 systems with their IP address, and my Kali Linux operating system is also 1. So including that, there are totally how many? 6 systems are alive in my network. Okay. So one more thing, guys. If you guys are running this kind of a scans, okay, make sure that your virtual machine is running in the bridge adapter. Okay, go to the settings and go to the network. Here you have to select the bridge. If in case if it is NAT, if you have the NATed IP address, so with the help of the NATed IP address, you cannot communicate with any systems in your local network. So make sure that you are running it in the bridge network. Okay, you will be having the similar kind of an IP address. Okay, from the DHCP server, like other systems in the network. Okay. Otherwise, if you run these tools, you won't get any results. So it's better to keep all the systems in the bridge mode, so that if you perform any type of a scans, other systems can also be reachable to you. Okay. So this is about the net discovery tool. So now let's go to the Nmap. Of course, Nmap is a very famous tool, which we use it for the port scanning. So if you give Nmap and any one of the IP address from here, let's say if I'm giving the .17 because it is live, right? And if you give enter, it will, okay, as I said, it's a port scanner. Okay, first it will check whether the system is up or not. You can see the system is up. Then also it is also performed a port scan. Nmap is the port scanner. Okay, so defaultly when you give like Nmap any kind of an IP address, it checks whether the host is alive or not. Of course, it is alive. If it is alive, then it will also perform the port scan. Okay, of course, there is like 65,535 ports, right? So out of that, it will perform the port scan for most commonly used 1,000 ports. Okay, it goes and probes 1,000 ports, and whichever the port is open, it will also give you the status over there. Okay, whether the port is open or closed. You can see out of 1,001 port is open, then the other 999 ports are closed, and also it gave us over here the MAC address, right? So let's say I don't want to perform the port scan, okay, with the help of the Nmap. I want to perform the host discovery scan. Okay, I want to check how many systems are actually alive in my local area network. So I'll use Nmap -small n, okay, which is to only perform the ping scan. Then I'll give my entire range. So Nmap has uh, different options to specify the target. Either you can give one target, either you can give the entire range, okay, in a CIDR format. You can give the domain name. You can give a list of IP addresses through a file, okay, and also you can also specify 2 IP addresses, okay, by giving the space also. So it's very user-friendly tool, I can say. Okay, there is no restrictions like you have to give first, this switch, then you have to write a command, or you have to give first IP address, then you have to write a switch. Okay, so it's very user-friendly. Automatically it will pick up. Okay, even if you write before or after also. So now you can see I'm doing Nmap -small and small n, which is to perform the ping scan. I don't want to perform the port scan now. And I want to perform the, this particular ping scan on every system in my local network. I'll give enter. Now the Nmap has started the scan and it's also finished in just 2.09 seconds. You can see how fast it is, right? Uh, of course, it says there are 6 systems are alive, right? So when you do the net discovery scan, also you got the 6 systems. Of course, here we didn't get our own Kali Linux operating system IP address, including that it is 6, right? So this is identified with the help of the ARP. So Nmap uses the raw packets, okay, raw novel packets to identify the host status. So with the help of the Nmap, you can perform the internal and external scanning also. I mean, this is internal, what I'm doing with the uh, private IP addresses. You can also perform the scans for public, okay, public reachable addresses as well. You can say I've given the yahoo.com. So it says the host is up. Understand? Yeah, guys. Okay, cool. Right? This is about the host discovery scan. So by using all these tools, which tool is a better one now? Like we use net discovery, we use ping, we use fping, we also use the Nmap. So after using all these tools, okay, so which tool do you feel is the good tool? Of course, Nmap, right? Yeah. So as you mentioned in the chat, so Nmap is the best tool. Why? Is there any specific reason? And how do you conclude that the Nmap is the best tool for you? Hmm? Right? So Nmap is the best tool because it's working fine for external and internal, right? And also it's giving the results, you can say, in a very short time. Comparing to any other tool, the tool is very fast, and it's giving the accurate results for us. Of course, there are only 6 systems in my network. It's giving the 6 systems. Let's say if I'm going and shutting down one particular system, let's say let me go and shut down a system and let me perform a scan now on the same network. You can see it's giving the 5 hosts are up. It is fast and it's giving the accurate results, and it's also telling the list of IP addresses which are alive and what is the MAC address, and it's also performing the MAC lookup, and it's telling that the vendor of the system, where the systems are running. So it's cool tool, right? Nmap is the cool tool. It works, when you want to perform the scans for internal, external, perfect. I mean, net discovery is also a good tool, okay, but it's a bit slow. Okay, it has to send all the RP broadcast requests in the network, then it has to identify, the responded systems back over there, right? So, but that only works for internal. Okay, net discovery works only for internal network, but Nmap works for internal and as well as external. Okay, yeah. So let's do one thing. Let me save these results. Sorry, so we have this result, right? So let me save these results in the notepad. So I'm using -small o capital N. Let me use uh, alive IPs -nmap.txt. Of course, I'm saving in a normal text file. Okay, I'm taking an output in the normal text file, and this is the text file. Okay, where this all the information is stored. Okay, so now what I need to do is I need to perform the port scan. Right, I'm done with the identifying the alive systems. Now I need to perform the port scan on all these 5 systems. So I need all the IP addresses in a list. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just use a simple bash bash commands over here to sort this information, or to take the output all the IP addresses into a file. So okay, the information is already stored. So you can see here I'm opening the file with the cat. Okay, cat alive IP addresses -nmap.txt. It's going to give us the output, right? So here I'm just going to use a pipe, and I'm going to grip the IP addresses which are having the result of Nmap scan report for. This is the common, right? This is a common wherever the IP address is, wherever the IP address is which shows is alive. So I want to grip wherever we have the Nmap scan report for. Okay, so you can see now. So when I gripped it, so I got IP addresses along with the Nmap scan report for. But I don't want this Nmap scan report for. Only I want the IP addresses. So we have a tool called cut. Okay, so we can cut by defining some kind of a delimiter. So here the delimiter which I'm going to define is space, because here there is a space in between 2 words, right? So here is the first space, second space, third space, fourth space, and I wanted to cut the 5th space. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just use another pipe. I'll use cut. Okay, let me define a delimiter which is space. So I'm putting the space in the double quotes, and which space you wanted to cut, which is 5th space. So I'm defining it -5. -fi. You can see I have all the IP addresses. Now let me just take an output here, alive IPs -nmap 1.txt. Okay, now if I cat alive IPs nmap 1.txt, I'll be only having the list of alive IP addresses. Even if in case if you receive the list of IP addresses from your management, okay, you can use that file, okay, with the nmap like this. You can just write nmap -small I capital L. Okay, I'm giving input has a list, and you can specify the path, which is I'm in the same path, so I'm giving alive IPs -nmap.1, and I want to perform the, let's say, host rediscovery scan on them. So again, I'll be having the same result, like 5 systems setup. So I'm just telling you, if in case if you receive the list of IP addresses from your client, or from your management, you can use this -I capital L. Okay, of course, like now we are not going to perform the live scan again. Now this time we need to perform this hint scan, okay, to identify how many ports are open in each system. Anyway, we know that the 5 systems are up, so we have performed the port scan on those 5 systems now. So here we have the result. So if you analyze this result, you can see 5.1 which says all the 1000 ports are filtered, and 5.70, 999 ports are closed, only one port is open, and 5.114, it says all like 998 ports are filtered and the other ports are open. Here it says closed, the other ports are open. Here it says everything is closed. So if you see the result now, when you perform the port scan, the results are, the result status is open, closed, filtered, right? Wherever you see, the results there, it shows the results are open, close, filter. So if it is open or closed, we don't have any issue. Okay, because if it is open means open, it's ready to communicate. The port is of course open. Close is closed. Okay, the port is not open. We are confirmed. But if you see the results here, we are getting the results as filtered. Maybe you should take any one IP address. Maybe let's take this one where it is showing filter. Okay, this one, which is 5.114. It says filtered. Okay, it says only 2 ports are open. And another place where it shows is here also it shows filtered. And is there any other place where it's showing as a filtered? No. So to analyze and to understand, all the different types of results, let's only perform a scan on a single system. Okay, then let's understand this result. So I'm going to perform the scans, like port scans on the Windows 7 system, okay, which I have. So if you have any Windows systems for you, you can use it. So in my case, I have a Windows 7. So of course, if you have Windows 10, 11, okay, that is also fine. You can take that. So first, let me go and check the IP address, which is in my case it is 5.1. Okay, you can see the IPv4 address is 5.1. So when we perform the 5.1 scan, it says all the ports are filtered. There might be ports open, but it is not it is not basically allowing us for our Nmap to see what ports are open. It is blocking. That's the reason we have the result as a filter. If I go to firewall, you can see the firewall is enabled, right? So let me go and disable this firewall. Okay. So I've just disabled the firewall now. If I just initiate a scan on Nmap, which is SYN scan, I'll tell you what is a SYN scan is. Okay, what I'm doing, I'm just initiating a scan on the Nmap. Now you can see the results are changed. It says there are 9 ports are open and the rest of the ports are closed. But when I go and turn on the firewall, and when I perform the scan, it's taking a more time. And also, let's see the result. It gives you the result saying that filtered. Okay, so if it is open, which means open, it's ready to communicate. If it is closed, which means closed. But when it's showing as a filtered, which means that there is a firewall in between, or there is some kind of a security in between, which is not allowing us to check how many ports are open. So when you guys are started practicing the Nmap, okay, when you guys have started, wanted to learn about the different types of the scans, I request you to go and disable the firewall, or else you are not gonna get any results. Okay, you will be only able to see the status is filtered. So it's not gonna help you to understand the scans and the scan results. Okay, and when it comes to unfiltered, which is quite opposite. Okay, there is no firewall in a sense. I'll tell you how to identify it. But are you clear with this port status? Open, uh, close, and filtered and unfiltered. So let's say when you guys are doing a pen testing, okay, let's say it's a gray box pen testing or white box pen testing, you have to ask them to whitelist your IP address. Okay, so that you will be not having any results as a filter. But if it is a black box pen testing, they don't whitelist anything. It's like an external point of view. You need to go and perform the attack. Okay, so keep this thing in your mind. So of course, right? If it is a black box, it is like from an outsider. Okay, if an outsider is trying to perform an attack, they don't give you any information. Of course, the IP address itself is also will be gathering ourselves. But if it is a gray box or white box testing, they will give you list of IP addresses, and they'll also help us to whitelist our IP addresses so that we don't get such type of a filter results. Okay, we'll get the open ports details. Understand? Cool. Yeah. So now let's do one thing. Let's go and disable the firewall. Okay. Now let's perform. So when you perform this, when you perform a default scan on the Nmap, so it's basically gonna give us the same results to you because Nmap is gonna use a SYN packet. Okay, it's gonna use the default. It's gonna use a SYN packet to identify the port status, whether it is alive or whether it is open or not. So how do we able to check, what Nmap is doing in the background? What kind of a package it is sending to the target. So to understand what packet it is sending and how the different ports are responding and different types of the scans. So I'm gonna help you or make you understand, okay, by capturing the traffic in my system. Because once you understand everything in a packet level, okay, you are not gonna remember anytime. So this is something really gonna help you in your future also. So learn everything, I can say in a packet level. So even the kind of a scans what we are doing also here, let me teach you by capturing the packets in the Wireshark. Wireshark is an open source tool, open source packet capturing and packet analyzer, which is pre-installed in the Linux operating system. So let me use this Wireshark tool to capture the traffic and to learn how the different ports are responding when I send the different types of packets, right? So this is how the Wireshark will look like, okay, when you start it. So here, these all the different interfaces. Okay, right now I am connected to ETH0. okay, where I am performing the scans. So let me just double click on it. So it will give you, all the different types of packets. Let me double click. Yep. Here we can able to see the traffic. So let's not, send the traffic to every port, and let's not, let's not create any confusion. So I'm taking an example of this particular system, which is Windows 7, and let me perform the scans on 135 where the port is open, right? So what I'm doing, I'm just, giving this IP address, and now this time I want to only perform the scan on one single specific port, which is 135. Okay, you can specify the port or port range with the help of the -p. So if I give -p, it is like, you can specify one port, or you can specify like comma 136 comma 137, like that you can specify, or you can also specify like 135 2000. Likewise also you can specify. You can also specify all the ports like 02 65,535, or you can specify -p which perform the port scan for every possible port. So in this case, we just want to send the traffic to port 135, and I want to capture it and see, what packet Nmap is sending and how it is responding. Okay, so Nmap uses the defaultly SYN packet, but let me go and check it out. What's happening? So I'm recapturing it. Let me initiate the scan. The scan is done, and here we have the result saying that it's running MSRPC and the port is open. Now let me go and stop this. Let's just go and apply the filter over here by giving IP dot address addr equal to, let me specify the target IP address, which is 5.1. Okay, so here we have the packets. So if you see here, the first column is the number. Okay, it's like kind of a sequence number for every packet, and the second one is time. So you might be thinking, what is this time, right? So this is called as in all the Unix and Linux systems, the timestamp will be in the epoch format. I'm putting it in the chat. Okay, in the epoch format. If we convert it, it will give you the the current timestamp. Then this is my source. 5.254 is the Kali Linux operating system, and destination is the 192.168.5.1, which is the Windows 7. And I'm using a TCP. The Nmap is using a TCP protocol, and it is sending a SYN packet to port number 135. So Nmap is using 45867 port to send a SYN packet to the target port 135. Okay, the same thing we have specified it. So we went to the 135 and we sent a SYN packet. Okay, we sent hi message to them, and they responded back to us with the SYNAC message. Right? You can see they have responded back to us with the SYNAC message. When they send a SYNAC message to us, okay, like from the port number 135 to us, so we have concluded that the port is open. Right? When you say someone, and if they respond back to you, when you send a hi to someone, and when they respond back to you with hi, hello, how are you, which means they are ready to communicate with you, which means the port is open, right? So that's how the Nmap is sending a SYN flag, and if it is receiving the SYNAC, it's concluding that the port is open, but it is not gonna establish a connection, or it's not gonna communicate with the specific port. It's just gonna send a reset packet to close the connection, because our intention is to check whether the port is open or not, and we got to know that the port is open, right? and we just send a reset packet. The port is not, done. We have identified the port status successfully, right? Actually, uh, okay. So this is how it's going to perform the port identification or port status identification by using the TCP flags. So these are all different types of TCP flags, right? So in TCP, like the three-way handshake will establish, like we send a SYN message to the other system saying that, hey, hi, are you there? So when they are, ready to communicate with us, so they send us the SYNAC message. Okay, SYN plus acknowledgement, because the TCP is acknowledgement based communication. For every packet there is an acknowledgement. Okay, so I sent, are you there? Hey, are you there? Are you ready to communicate with me on port number 135? And they said, of course, I am open on the port number 135. I am ready to communicate. They sent a reply back to us saying that SYNAC. If I am ready to communicate with them, so I'll be sending a acknowledgement. Okay, I'll be sending an acknowledgement to them. See, they send us in packet. So for this, for the packet which I have sent, they sent an acknowledgement, and also they sent a SYN message. For that, again I sent an acknowledgement. So this process we will call it as a TCP three-way handshake or connection establishment process. So after this three-way handshake itself, the communication will start with the port. Okay, the packet transmission will happen. But here we are not doing the connection establishment. We are just checking if we are getting the SYNAC packet or not. If you are getting the SYNAC packet means, of course, they are ready to communicate. So we are sending the reset packet. So this is how port response will be when the port is open. Okay. Similarly, if you want to check if if the port is closed, what would be the response? Let's say port number 1355. The port is actually not open. Okay, let me start the Wireshark. So I'm capturing one more time, but this port is not open. But what happened here when the port is not open? We send a SYN packet and they sent us with the reset plus acknowledgement. The port itself is not open, right? Of course, I'll teach the different types of scans tomorrow. Don't get confused. Just go and uh, you know uh, just go and read if you're not aware about the TCP flags. So I'll show you the other different types of port scanning techniques tomorrow with the help of the Wireshark. So today just we are exploring about the default scan which Nmap uses, which is SYN scan. Okay, what happened when the port is open? This is what happened. We send a SYN, we got a SYNAC, and of course again we send a reset packet. When the port is closed, we send a SYN and we got the reset plus acknowledgement. Sometimes if there is a firewall, the SYN packet will get dropped there itself. We will be not having any response. Okay, so of course we call this as a half open scan because the three-way handshake is not happening there, right? SYN ARC is not happening. So before sending, just we are closing the connection by sending the reset packet. So this is about the default scan which Nmap uses. So let's tomorrow go and capture the other different type of scans and we'll continue the rest. Okay. Hope this is clear, right? If you have any questions, let me know, guys. And also, and also just go through the TCP flags if you're not aware.